Alright guys, welcome back to another operaomnia video where we're going to be talking about both Sabin and Gladio, two characters that are going to be featured in the upcoming Gladio Lost chapter. Now Gladio is going to be getting his crystal level 80 alongside with Sabin, and he's also going to be getting his LD extension. Now with Sabin's going to be getting a rework and his brand new LD weapon. Now we're going to be talking about Sabin a little bit more than Gladio, since Gladio's really not getting anything aside from his LD extension. And I'm going to talk about why I feel like Sabin is actually a pretty solid character with the changes that he is getting with his base kit and with his LD ability. So we're going to talk about all of that in this video. So as always, if you guys do enjoy the video, consider liking the video and subscribing for future operaomnia content. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's talk about first Gladio, followed by Sabin in the upcoming Gladio Lost Chapter event. So with Gladio's LD extension, whenever the quest begins on his first turn, he nullifies action delay and he does not contribute to the total turn count. Whenever he is using his LD ability is now 2 HP dumps instead of 1. He gets an increase in Brave potency by a tremendous amount, and he also grants the Royal Guard to the party, excluding himself, for 10 actions. Also, he adds the following effects to the Perfect Guard, which gives him a Brave damage delta to himself by 20%. Now with his call ability, he does his LD ability, and this is actually a pretty convenient call ability for a few reasons, and could actually be pretty helpful for future Lufenia Plus fights way down in the line. There's actually a video where I did actually use this this call ability to solo a Transcendence fight with Firion not too long ago. So his call effect, whenever the caller uses it, which lasts for 3 actions, the caller receives a Brave damage reduction, 100% Brave damage reduction, a 100% HP damage reduction, and a 100% debuff evasion up with this call, with the call effects for this call ability. Now we're going to talk about Sabin and his rework before we get into his LD ability. So with his rework, we're going to talk about a few key things before we talk about some similarities between both his skill 1 and skill 2. So with his skill 1, he got an additional 3 uses to it, now having a max usage of 10. And then with his skill 2, it used to delay the target by 1, and now it delays the target by 2 turns, which is nice. Now, some similarities between both of them is that their Brave attacks now turn into Wind and Holy Element Brave attacks, and now their attacks are defense ignoring hits, which is something that should not be ignored. And I don't mean to add a pun into that. If that is even a pun, I don't even know. But that is something that should not be ignored. Defense ignoring is actually a very powerful mechanic in this game, and especially with future Lufenia fights that have strong defenses, or especially if you're trying to go up against like the whole Brave reduction and Brave recovery, and you're trying to do the maximum damage, which I know it may not seem like defense ignoring Brave recovery and all that stuff. You would think that they would not actually matter, or they would not fall into the same category, but you would actually be surprised that if you're not really gaining enough Brave, or you're not recovering, or if you're not doing enough damage, if you don't have that defense ignoring mechanic in said character's kit, just having that defense ignoring mechanic in a character's kit really does make a difference in Brave damage. And so for Sabin to have that in his skill 1 and skill 2 is actually a big plus. And we're also going to talk about that because his LD ability also has that as well. But those are the differences and the changes that he got with his skill 1 and his skill 2. Next up, we'll talk about his LD ability, which is a defense ignoring 4 hits AoE Wind Holy Magic Brave plus a single target HP attack with 3 HP dumps altogether, and it deals 50% splash damage to non-targets. It grants the Tiger Battle Spirit buff and 4 stacks of the Battle Spirit Unleash buffs to himself for 4 actions, and it also inflicts the Wind Holy resistance down to all enemies for 4 actions after his first HP attack, and it will also give him free skill use after you use his LD ability. So his skill 1, his skill 2, or his C65 will get a free skill use after you use it. Now, whenever his Tiger Battle Spirit is active and his Battle Spirit Unleashed has at least 3 stacks or higher, his Brave Attack will turn into Brave Attack Tiger Battle Spirit, which will turn into a 3-hit Wind Holy Magic Brave plus HP attack, which will deal weakness damage against ghost types, which of course was his thing way back in the day, which it still is now. And he will recover Brave to himself based on 50% of the HP damage dealt, and he will also extend the duration of active Tiger Battle Spirit buff by 1 action. His HP attack will also turn into the HP attack Tiger Battle Spirit, which is a 3-hit Wind Holy Magic Brave plus HP attack. It does have 120% Stolen Brave, Max Brave Overflow, and it deals 50% splash HP damage to non-target, and it also extends the Tiger Battle Spirit buff by 1 action. Now, the Tiger Battle Spirit buff gives Sabin a 40% attack up, a 20% Stolen Brave, Max Brave Overflow limit up, and the Battle Spirit Unleashed stacks will not decrease. Now, that is the biggest thing about Sabin that was troubling him. It gave him trouble in the past because, like, if you don't know, with his skill 2, whenever you used it, and even up till now, whenever you use his skill 2, it would decrease his stacks to his Battle Spirit Unleashed by 2. And so, like, the whole thing about his kit back in the day was that, like, after you use it twice, you had to build up those stacks over and over to get the plus versions of his skill 1 and his skill 2. But now with his LD ability, it basically fixes that, and you practically have the plus versions of his skill 1, his skill 2, his EX ability, pretty much active the entire time, as long as you have this Tiger Battle Spirit buff active on Sabin throughout the entire fight. So this basically just fixes his kit in general. He also gets an elemental weakness damage up 30% and a 30% HP damage delta, which will help him out in damage, in capping out in damage. And then when inflicting break or attacking a broken target, it extends the duration of the Tiger Battle Spirit and Battle Spirit Unleashed by 1 action, only once per turn. With his LD ability, with his call effects, which lasts for 2 actions, the caller gets a 40% attack up, a 20% HP damage dealt up, and a 20% Stolen Brave, Max Brave Overflow limit up, which is a pretty solid call ability for where we are at on the global side right now. So this would actually be a pretty good call ability for, let's say, burst users, actually, for those who are trying to prep up for burst phase, or even for those who have a burst effect active from, like, say, a friend unit, and you want to have that extra little bit of damage, then yeah, this call ability would actually not be a bad choice for your burst users. So now we get to the point of the video where we figure out whether or not it is actually worth pulling on the upcoming Gladio and or Sabin banner, and I give you guys my honest opinions on these 2 characters. Now, with Gladio, you know, again, the only thing he gets with his LD extension is just an extra HP dump, and he gets an increase in Brave damage, and that's really about it. For newer players, if you don't know what he does, basically he is a tank. He is able to cover any type of single target attack, so he'll get in front of your teammates if the enemy is targeting them, and he will take any Brave and or HP attacks. And if he has his LD ability active, and if the enemy is about to do an HP attack that will normally kill your teammate, as long as his LD ability is active, Gladio will actually take that hit and basically reduce it down to 0, as if like the enemy did nothing to him at all, as long as that LD ability is active. That's like the big main thing about him. Now with Sabin on the other hand is a character that I feel like a lot of players may just avoid because of some of the upcoming units that are going to be coming up either later this month or in the next few months. Sabin in my opinion, he's a solid character. I'm not gonna say that he's gonna be like the most broken of broken characters, you know. And I don't want to, you know, I don't want to give that misconception of like, oh, so like, you know, if you're not hyping him up, that must mean that like, oh, he must not be all that of a great character. Like, I don't want to come across that way. Like Sabin, like the great thing about him is that like he has a lot to his kit now, because like not only does he have like the defense ignoring, which I mentioned earlier is like a big plus for any character who gets that, but he also has the what is it, wind and holy brave damage, and he's also able to inflict it, which of course means that he is able to do weakness damage. So basically everything that he is doing is pretty much focused on for himself, making him a selfish DPS character. I mean, that's pretty much what he's doing. He's there to do damage for you. Now, he does have some delay in his kit. I mean, with his skill 2, he is able to delay the enemy by 2 turns. And, you know, other than that, I mean, that's really about it with his kit. But now, should it be a character that should be ignored? Should it be one that should be overlooked? No. And the only reason why I say that is because of like everything that he has in his kit. So when you really look at it, like the fact that he is able to like do damage, right? The fact, you know, it might not be Tifa damage to those who are always looking for Tifa damage, but like if, you know, the fact that he does damage, but the fact that he is also able to do weakness damage because of the fact that he's able to do wind/holy brave damage, and he's able to inflict or impel the enemies for himself. You already know that he's going to be doing some higher brave damage. He has the defense ignoring, and so that right there means that is one less thing that you have to worry about when it comes to team comps. So take example, like if say you are trying to set up a team comp where you want to add an impaler for your team, but let's say if you wanted to bring like a support character, and then you wanted to bring somebody who enchants/impels, and then you wanted to bring somebody like a DPS unit. Well, instead of having to worry about that enchanter/impaler, you could just bring Sabin. And then, like, for your support character, you could bring Poem, because Poem would be there not just for the ores, but for the battery. And then, like, for your third option, you could bring, like, a utility character. You could bring another DPS character. You know, that's the good thing about Sabin. Sabin is there to, like, basically cover that one extra option in terms of team comps, and that's what I like about him, you know. And not only that, but like once again, I'm being pushy with it because of like how useful it is in the future. The defense ignoring mechanic that he has in his kit, like I promise you, it really is useful in future fights. Like a character that comes into mind with that mechanic is Zac. Zac, when he gets his LD in a few months from now for global, like as part of his rework, he gets a defense ignoring in his skill 2. Yeah, his skill 2. And he becomes a monster because of that defense ignoring mechanic that they gave him. So, you know, it's just things like that should not be overlooked. And, you know, that should not be overlooked just because of like other characters that'll be coming up. Because sometimes even the little guys, even the little characters will actually benefit you for like future team cons, or, you know, just like stuff like that. Now, of course, if you do have favorites, if you are waiting for favorites and stuff like that, or other characters or other like things in the future, you know, it's completely understandable. But for me, myself, and for Sabin, like I want to throw some love for him, because he's definitely a character that, like, if you have the extra resources, or if you actually considered pulling for him, he's actually not a bad pickup at all. He would not, in my opinion, he would not let you down. For future team comps, he does cover a few extra things when you are trying to make your team comp. So other than that, that's going to be it for the video, guys. You guys let me know what you guys think about Sabin and or Gladio, and what are your plans going to be for the upcoming Gladio Lost Chapter, and of course the banner. So other than that, that's going to be it. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Let me know what you guys think. I've repeated myself 20 times already. So thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next video.